Welcome to the virtual Bible live from the Israelite Nation Broadcasting Network. It is your host, Priest Kirk. I also have Elder Troy Williams and Elder Frederick Malcolm. Good afternoon, gents.
Good afternoon, Priest Kirk.
Exciting show as we usually do, and for all those that have given us your feedback, we certainly appreciate it. We thank the patronage and continue to watch as we give you some topics that are simply outstanding. Now, as we always lead off with, get a King James version of the Bible. You've got to. We read the King James, so that's to be on the same page and context with us. Get yourself a KJV. Second thing is, please take notes. No use of you just listening to us. Take notes so that you could cross-reference, back-check, and then once you've done that, contact us so that we know how you feel, either for, against, completely up to you. And how do you contact us? IsraeliteNation.com at Facebook. And you could get us on Twitter at Israelite Nation. And of course, send your questions to questions at IsraeliteNation.com. All right. So let's get right into the thick of things. Today's topic, as you can see on your screen, Doomsday predictions. Let me give you the voice. Doomsday predictions. Doomsday predictions, guys. What a topic. It's one of those things that are, it's so exciting because it riles everybody up. It gets everybody moving, thinking. Those that are religious become religious because there is a impact to you that if it is true that it's doomsday, then hey, I could die. Right? Or if you're not, if you are religious, you want to know, like we spoke about a few weeks ago, am I going to get myself to heaven? One or the other. What do you guys think? Is there such a thing as doomsday?
There must be, quite clearly. If in fact that we keep hearing about it, it's like saying, well, is there a God? Is there a devil? There's got to be if we keep hearing about it. There's no point in denying it because it's definitely there.
It keeps happening. What is doomsday? I guess we got to define that, right? What would be doomsday?
I guess we always look at it, see there's a beginning of life, there's a beginning of the history of the world. So at some point in time, we know there'll be an end. So that's where the whole doomsday comes in. When is the world going to end? You know, what is going to be your state, your position? What side are you going to be on when doomsday come? So it's something that has been conversation or been the top of conversations for centuries. And I feel that it will continue to be a hot topic for many, many generations to come. But doomsday is something that I think has everybody, you know, on alert because where are you going to be? What's going to happen when it comes, if it comes, and if it is something that is really going to happen. And as we read in the scriptures, we know that there is going to be an end time.
Hey, you know something? It's like there was a doomsday before.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about it is like everybody just went about their daily business as if to say, doomsday coming. You're building that ark and it hasn't rained here in years and eons and here you're building an ark. Let's laugh at this guy. Let's make some fun of this guy here. Let's poke some fun at him. You know?
You know what I was going to say, though, is why is it called doomsday? You know, you said the end of the world.
Yeah.
Why doomsday versus the end of the world?
It's more dramatic. It's more dramatic. It makes better movies.
Yeah. There's more action.
There's more action in that.
It, eh?
Because when you see doomsday, you're thinking of fire and brimstone. You're thinking of horror. Terrible things, mayhem, running, screaming through the streets, fire. You're not just, or flood. It's not just going to be everybody's going to go to sleep and then that's it.
Yeah.
It's tragic. It's
doomsday.
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's doom.
Yeah, it's doomsday.
You know, it's bad news, right? So when it comes, or when that time comes, when it hits, everybody's going to be on edge. So,
well, if we go to the slide, next slide, it says, And there's a nice dramatic picture for you. And it says, you know, there has been hundreds, if not thousands of predictions regarding the end of the world. Right? Thousands. And the coming, and we're piecing it together. Not just the end of the world, the coming of Christ. Right? Everybody's put that together. They've said it's going to end, and the coming of Christ. Although there are others who, you know, there are some predictions that don't have anything to do with Christ. It's just a meteorite's going to hit the earth, and that's it, and everybody's going to die. So, you know, whatever. Global warming is going to freeze, and, you know, what was that movie, The Day After?
Yeah.
Right? Whatever the case may be.
And the caps are going to melt and
flooding over with, and that's it. Right?
it.
The killer bees, I remember back in the 80s, the African killer bees were supposed to be here sometime around 1986, and it was going to wipe out half of Canada and half of U.S. or whatever.
But what are we all doing here? Wasn't there supposed to be the end of the world just
last year?
Last year?
Last year.
Actually, the date prediction was October 21st.
That was the second prediction.
The second one, that's right.
The first one was May or something.
Miscalculation.
Miscalculation.
And
And that's okay. You could miscalculate, right?
slightly off.
That would mean that you would have to have a formula,
Yeah.
right? And you could be off, but you know,
'Cause that is a tall order
huge.
to actually predict and to say, well, on this set day in May 21st at approximately 12 a.m. shall witness the end of the world. That's huge.
You know, it's funny because you're talking about predictions and the formula. So if there's a formula and your calculation is slightly off, you should be able to recalculate and get the accurate time.
Yes.
You know, it's so interesting. This reminds me when, you know, you're watching the reruns of Happy Days. I don't know if you remember there was an episode where the mice in the lab was eating potatoes. And then it was supposed to be the end of the world.
Because they were eating potatoes?
Yeah. So, but that's how crazy it is, right? That's how crazy it is. It's that crazy. Mice eating potatoes symbolize the end of the world.
Yeah.
So you got to imagine these are the type of ways that these guys are coming up with these predictions.
Anything. Well, we're going to get into some, which you'll see exactly what's happening. Some have passed. Some of these predictions have passed. Some dates are yet to come. And in today's discussion on the Virtual Bible, we will be taking a close look at some of the soothsaying and doomsday prophecies that have been preached in these most recent times within the last, I'm going to say, 2,000 years. And when I say 2,000, some of you may raise your eyebrow saying 2,000. You know, the doomsday thing, believe me when I say this is not nothing new.
Right.
This is not our time. 2K2 thing, 2K. This is not it. Or Y2K, sorry. You know, this is doomsday. Everybody had the formula. And like you said, if you have the formula and you were slightly off, you just got to go back and adjust a bit to get it. You have the formula.
That's
You
it.
have the formula.
That's it.
You got to be something. Well, on the slide that you're seeing, it has a man that goes by the name of Hippolytus. Hippolytus in 400 AD calculated that 5,500 years separated Adam and Christ. And that the life of the world was 6,006 full days of years until what? The seventh day of rest. His calculations in 234 indicated there were still 2 centuries left. Now,
He had a lot of time on his hand. No pun intended.
you know, these guys, and they all have, if you're looking at the image still, you know, they have the bust. His is an exaggerated bust. He has his entire body, right down to the toe details, right? The toenails have details and everything, right? And he has a little something in his hand there, a little document or something. You know, these guys which found all of the thought processes and intelligence of today's times, the scholars of ancient antiquities, philosophers and stuff. All these guys, you know, they sit down and people believe them, right? For whatever reason, he sat down and said, there's 5,500 years separated between Adam and Christ. How did he get that? What he sat there with a calculator of his time and said, 5,500, 6,000, and then we've heard this before, where everybody's waiting, or some people are waiting for 7,000 years, because once it's 7,000 years, then that's a year is a day in the sight of God. Seventh day and everything. So and we've heard that. I think that guy Harold Camping is who you were speaking of last year, who depicted the Earth was going to be done. He had a similar calculation. It had something to do with the seventh day and 7,000 and all that and everything and so on. But what ended up happening with this, with Hippolytus, is the calculation false. It was fake. It didn't happen. We lived and died, and we're still here. There was no doomsday. We all lived and left opportunity for other philosophers.
Maybe it was actually Hippolytus's doomsday, and his days ended. Who knows what, where, how he ended up on the other side. But he could have been correct in saying that it was his last days, but to come out and say that it's going to be the end of the world and everyone else's last days, that's a tall order. That's a very large, that's a big stretch to say that.
So I have a quick question. I guess to make these guys don't seem so crazy, do you think that they could be predicting maybe wars, World War I or World War II or something, and not necessarily doomsday? You think that could be where this is going? Because how are you going to predict doomsday?
In a way, I kind of look at it as it's like an ego building thing. Because if you can say, like, he was, I guess, kind of smart, unlike some people nowadays. In 234, he's saying, okay, well, in 2 centuries, it's going to end in 2 centuries. He's pretty famous. Until he's dead, he's a pretty famous guy.
In fact, after he's dead, because even though he did that, he still had a few hundred years left to go, and they're waiting for him. And Hippolytus said,
according to Hippolytus. Yeah. So Hippolytus and his descendants lived quite high off the hog. Yeah. Because Hippolytus predicted, and he gave all these numbers. Hippolytus is no longer here, but just you wait and see. Yeah. Hippolytus said that, in 2 centuries' time, the world would be no more.
Well, at least the good thing about it is that he wouldn't live to see if it came through or not. So I guess nobody could go to him and say, hey, you were wrong.
Oh, no. Yeah. But until he went, he was living, he's a pretty famous guy.
He got his prophet wages.
Yes.
And his office, and he's right beside the magistrate and everything. He's got everything. Yep. And he died, and his children and descendants carried on Hippolytus and went on and so on.
Yep. And if there's one thing back in those days of antiquity, fame, to have men sing of you, whether it be right or wrong, to have songs made about you, and to have your legend, like here we are now in 2012, and we're still talking about
Hippolytus. It's true.
Hippolytus.
It's true. Honor to Hippolytus, because we're talking about him in 2012. Yeah. Yeah, it's very true.
He might have been a pompous idiot, but hey, he's still a famous guy.
Who got who? He guaranteed. Hey, we got to give this guy.
Kudos.
No, he's brilliant. Because I didn't think of it that way. He guaranteed all of his days the wage of a prophet, and his children and his children's children, and even their children.
Because you just sit down there thinking, what? Because it's all about leaving a legacy behind. And what shall I be known? Like, what am I going to leave behind? Aha. Aha! I'll leave behind this, so that in 300 years they shall speak of me after that. Because I'm not going to live another 20 years. He might be thinking to himself, so hey, at least in 300 years they shall sing songs of me.
Yeah.
Hippolytus.
This one is to you, Hippolytus.
Brilliant.
Well, we know Y2K. and we remember that make sure you draw all your money out of the bank because the banks don't have their systems ready. It rolls over at 1999.
Yeah.
It doesn't go to 2000, so it goes back to zero. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen?
Mhm.
All systems are going to crash. Airplanes are going to fall out of the sky. No electricity, no gas. Just helter-skelter all over the place, right?
Mhm.
So 999 AD, there was a prediction. There was a prediction that at the stroke of 12,
You gotta love it.
December, the end of December, January 1st is going to roll around, 1000 AD. That's it, folks.
So it comes around every 1,000 years.
It sounds good.
Every 100
Yeah,
years.
every century.
Every 1,000 years.
Because you're
Every
rolling
few
over the
centuries.
number, right? So it makes sense.
Yeah.
1000 AD, this year goes down as one of the most pronounced states of hysteria over the return of Christ. So our little Y2K had nothing on 1000 AD.
Mhm.
All members of society, get this, seemed affected by the prediction that Jesus was coming back on January 1st, 1000 AD. There really weren't any of the events required by the Bible transpiring at that time. So all the wars and rumors of wars and all that,
Right.
everything they were saying, we're seeing that there was peace in the valley. Everything was good. So there was no, earthquakes like we have and tsunamis and everything to say, oh,
It's happening.
everything was good. Our business was everything was solid, right? Life, and they still ended up having this 1000 AD. The magical number 1000 was primarily the sole reason for the expectation. During December 999 AD, everyone was on their best behavior.
Wow.
Christ is coming.
That's golden. That's golden.
Christ is coming.
It just brings to light, again, the arrogance of this philosophy called Christianity. Because you couldn't be speaking of anything else. Because you're saying 1000 AD, meaning that this time period is being recognized by those people in that society.
Yes.
What about everyone else? Like, what about the people that were in Hong Kong in those days? What about the people that were in Singapore?
Solid.
What about the people that were not in the world of Christianity?
Solid.
People in the Middle East.
Solid.
They didn't recognize those
AD.
days. Like,
They weren't counting AD.
they weren't kind. So,
AD?
so what made them think that just because they read a couple scriptures, they conquered a couple, known civilizations to them, and they held pretty much their power or the power in check, that they can come ahead and say, well, in 1000 AD, world's gonna end.
That's it.
Again, you've got some more Hippolytuses, guys just making themselves famous,
Yeah.
robbing the people that are blind, and just getting rich in the process. Because I think it is a money-making venture. It's a money-making business to say that you can predict the end of the
Yeah,
world.
because it's not.
I
That guy Harold Camping, and you always go back to him. I remember
he took out like a loan of some sort.
jeez.
They broadcasted this all over the place, posters, subways. People were they gave over their mortgages and everything else, and signed over their lease to their car and all that sort of stuff. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Was he ever arrested?
No, he didn't do anything wrong.
Oh no.
Sure he did. Should have been arrested. Can you imagine the panic and the mayhem that could have been caused? People figuring that, they were going to end their life ahead of time
Yeah.
before Doomsday came, and things that people could have done preparing for this.
Yeah.
He's lucky it didn't really turn out to
I'm
be.
sure there were some suicides.
Probably.
It had to have happened.
Probably.
It had to have
Yeah,
happened.
these doomsday cults are nothing new because they happen all the time.
Yeah.
A bunch of bodies found in a cave, 20, 40, 50 people, and they're all predicting that, the time's going to end. I mean, you had Jim Jones as well, too.
Checked out all those people.
All those
Yeah.
people.
Well, it's convincing to them because You know, Harold Camping, when they went and they interviewed him after, right? He was on the street corner.
I remember seeing that footage.
You remember that footage?
I remember seeing the footage because there were people around him counting down.
Yeah.
You had people, reporters, and as soon as after the T-minus came.
Yes. The T-minus countdown.
T-minus came, and people were there laughing in the streets, laughing at this guy.
But isn't that interesting? After you count down and nothing happens, nothing. So like, oh, so do we just go home now?
I have a few questions, kind sir.
But
is it Central Time, or is it Mountain, or Eastern?
But you know what gets
That'll be the first
Are we
time.
3 hours off?
That's the first time. Oh, it's actually Pacific time. We got to, right?
Yeah.
We're on Eastern. Is that okay? Wait another 3 hours.
Yeah.
What gets me though is when you see these guys and he's standing there, holding, clutching on.
Yeah.
Like, put down that Bible, man. What are you doing?
You know what would have been proper? If he had looked at the audience and go, April Fools. I got you.
I'm just kidding.
That would have made more sense.
Oh yeah.
That would have been understandable.
That look on his face.
Oh man.
It was like if you've ever seen like the blood just pour from somebody's face and they just go totally white.
Distraught.
Oh man.
He was there. He had the book in his.
That's all he did. If you notice, he just went back and.
So what was that? Was that one of those cases where you had a false prophet, so to speak, or wherever he got his information from, that somebody was playing a joke on him, or whatever messenger or whatever spiritual guidance he got?
You see, I don't think he had, according to what I read, seen, his wasn't a spiritual revelation. It wasn't the Lord came to me and said this.
Okay.
This was if you read for yourself, you should be able to see the calculation, right? And a day is a day and 1,000. So he had his calculation, and he broke it down, and he said May or June, 21st, whatever it was, it's 7,000 and the Lord, and that's it. And you got to be prepared. And he spent, I don't know if it's 100,000 or $1 million that he went out and put up billboards and paraphernalia and end of the world T-shirts. All of that.
Complete waste of money.
Did he realize that you shouldn't drink and do those calculations?
I think now.
Maybe now he realized.
Where is he right now? We should find that out.
He's got a show. He's got a program. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's doing his thing.
Still going strong.
He's doing his thing.
Oh wow.
His faith hasn't wavered. He's wrong. I guess I was wrong. I was just wrong. But anyway, in 1000 AD, everyone was under best behavior. Worldly goods were sold and given to the poor.
Oh.
Right? So that helps you get into heaven, and Jesus,
Nice.
the Christ will appreciate you a bit more.
Oh, nice.
Swarms of pilgrims headed east to meet the Lord at Jerusalem.
Great
Which
for
is, hypocrisy comes in different forms. So wherever you were at this time, you recognized, you lived your life and did your thing and you're cool. Then, the Lord cometh. You got to go to Jerusalem, you got to go to Israel, to where the Israelites, their land was, and where they did their thing and their culture.
Interesting.
You got to go there to meet them. Hypocrisy comes in the highest form.
Many shapes and forms.
Many. And it shows you their guilt. It shows you their guilt, because you should feel safe wherever you're at. Right? But you got to head to Jerusalem. Buildings went unrepaired. Crops, there was no street signs put up. There was no road repair. Potholes were left the same. Horses and wagons broke right there, and they left them right where they lay. Crops were left unplanted, and criminals were set free from jails.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So those criminals said, you know what? Christ is coming today, and I ain't got a chance in hell. Right? So I might as well go and rob and pillage all of these crops. I might as well go and confiscate all of their belongings in their homes because they're giving them away. And then January the 2nd, 1000 AD, those guys were prominent in society. All the crooks had all the goods and were prominent in society.
Wow, it could be very lucrative.
It
Maybe
is
something I could think about, creating a doomsday.
So do you think it was
Let's get together.
there was
and
a
do something.
there was a link with the criminals? Do you think they planned it, or whoever came up with it was a part in cahoots with them?
They must. The real criminals are the ones who said, 1000 AD,
Yeah.
the world's gonna end.
And the minor criminals got paid for it.
Well, you got to realize though that was a great jailbreak scheme.
Wonderful.
Beautiful. I mean, I don't think I've seen any movies about that yet.
Not yet.
That's excellent. Maybe we should do a movie on that.
We should come up with our
That's
own.
a good script.
We should come up with our own doomsday thing.
But you know what? I'm sitting here and I'm wondering if Hippolytus, if that's where the word hypocrisy came from. Because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it, and we can't do anything like that because we don't preach falsely. So we can't do
we
that.
could do whatever we want, but then there's payment, right? You just pay for it. If you're living a life of truth,
Yes.
then do what is true,
Yes.
right? And if you're into falsehood, then by all means do everything you want. Look, I want you to listen to this one.
All right.
1809 AD. Mary Bateman, who specialized in fortune telling, had a magic. I'm not even. So,
She had a magic bean.
she specialized in fortune telling. So she the crystal ball.
Oh yeah.
I see something in your future, right?
No, you did that pretty good.
Hey,
Yeah, I
watch
watched
it.
the movies.
It's too good.
I watched the movies, right? And so she's obviously in that for money right off the bat, She had a magic, not a bean or beanstalk or anything. She had a magic chicken
Oh wow.
that laid eggs with end time messages on it.
I'm sorry? Somehow I missed that.
Mary Bateman.
I thought you were going to say maybe golden eggs, but what?
No, there's no golden. No.
All right.
She specialized in fortune telling and had a magic chicken
All right.
that laid eggs, and the eggs had messages of end times on them.
So they would just come out, and the messages were just printed on the eggshells. Is it?
Legible.
Oh wow.
Really?
Legible, yeah.
What was it written in? Like, what was the language of the day?
English.
Like, English.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Queen's English.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's
I guess from an
fascinating.
You
English
take the egg
speaking-
and you shake it, and you get the spell check, right?
Okay.
And it corrects the word for you, right? And one message said that
Wow.
Christ was coming.
All right, hold on. Are these eggs maybe cracked, or they have some spots on it, and it looks like Christ is coming, or it was written on there Christ is coming?
So what you're saying is it's like the
Virgin in the tree,
Jesus bread.
Or
The
Yes.
look at the mold. Is that a Seinfeld that I'm
or
Was
Michael
it something
Jackson
that
or
only-
something. Michael Jackson bread.
or
Yeah,
was it
Elvis T-shirts.
Oh,
Swag.
come on. Or was it something that only Mary could see?
You know what?
Interesting.
See, these things would be sensible. However, and I understand, no, it wasn't just protein spillage that formulated something.
Yeah.
No, it's not. If you look faintly, you're going to see something. Could you see it? No, it's not. Oh, I see it. Do you see it? No, it's the eyes of the Lord.
Well,
It's not one of those things.
But maybe what Elder Freddie's saying, maybe that's it. Because maybe instead of having a crystal ball, hold on a second. Come here. I don't know, what's a good name for hens?
I've never heard
Come,
of that. You've
no,
heard
come
dog
here,
names, eh?
come here, Mabel. No, that's a cow. Is that Betsy?
That's
Betsy
Is
sounds
Mabel?
Betsy's a chicken?
Betsy's
That's a
Betsy.
cow. Betsy's a cow.
Maybe
No, I said
too.
Mabel.
Mabel's a cow too. I don't. What do you call Henrietta? I don't know what you call.
Okay, Henrietta.
Lucy.
Yes.
I don't know what you say.
Henrietta. Henrietta, come here, drop an egg, and then she takes up the egg. Only she can see it, according to what Elder Freddie's saying, which makes sense. And then she reads it and then tells the fortune from that. Because if it's a lay egg and everybody can go and look and see the written business, like, that's just straight out of the loony bin, man.
Christ is coming.
In black ink.
Because what do you need? Listen, what do you need her for? The chicken's the talent.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah, but it's her chicken. You don't want the
But it
chicken.
doesn't matter. No, but what I'm saying is that she should work for the chicken. The chicken shouldn't work for her.
Yeah, but you know what? Though?
She's the talent. The chicken is the talent.
Yeah.
She's hanging onto the chicken's coattail.
And anybody who listens to that, you know, the person that sells their
man.
goods, their lively earnings and everything, because the chicken laid an egg. You know, without reading the rest, and I would have read it, but without looking at the rest of her story.
Wow.
1800s, you know the magic elixir guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Was she a traveling fortune teller?
She would have had to.
Come
Come on.
on.
Mary Bateman, right? Mary Bateman, 1809, living somewhere in the southern United States or England, wherever it was. I think it was England. Now I think about it. Right? She has a chick. She has her head tied. And she's got the ball, gypsy look, and she's right. And she says she has a chicken. Come on, man.
Maybe it would have
Come
made more
on.
sense if she laid the egg.
You see, if that's believable, because you mean you laid the egg, then you can put some credibility to that. Say you're different, but the chicken in the coop. I mean, anyway, one of the messages on the egg in black, bold black ink on the egg, said that Christ was coming. The uproar she created ended when she was caught forcing an egg into the hen's oviduct
Oh.
by an unannounced visitor. Mary later was hanged for poisoning a wealthy client. On another matter.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
you know, when you read the end of the story, you expect that. I expected something like
So
that.
she,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right? So they caught her. She's in the morning, and she has the egg, and she already painted on
Yeah.
with the ink, and she's pushing me. Oh, right.
Is that why they made that sound? Because of Mary? Mary created
they
that
never
sound?
used to make that
They,
sound.
they never made that sound before Mary came into play. Okay. Now it makes sense.
It's called the Mary alarm clock. Right? Early in the morning, and they push the egg. So, you know, I mean, but these are things because there was an uproar. People believed this. They said, and I'm sure
They're sold.
she ran a good show, because I'm sure people went to her and asked her for things, you know, could you tell me what's going on and so on. And she probably did a good lie. Hey, maybe she was real even. Right?
I'm sure people
Quite sure she
probably,
was very believable.
Very, very, very.
I'm sure people probably fought over who was going to get the egg. No, like people would have wanted to keep those eggs, right? Or eat it. Boil the Jesus egg and fry it up.
The Jesus egg.
Hey.
That's a lot of money for that egg. And if you eat it, you're safe. There's all sorts
Yeah,
of
going
things you
straight to heaven.
Man, if I was in the magic elixir days, get your snake oil.
Hey, don't sell that stuff short, because those days are still around.
Oh, yeah.
You got people walking around
Yeah, you're right.
with chips and pebbles of the rocks that Jesus walked on. You know,
Hey,
and,
you're
yeah,
right.
they've got guys with prayer cloths that
Yes.
you know ripped from the hem. You know, they've
Yeah.
got guys selling water.
Yeah.
I saw a
Wow.
recipe for a special bread, wafer they call it. It's not a Jesus Ezekiel wafer or something?
I heard that.
Okay.
I
Isaiah
heard that.
wafer?
Something like that.
You know what's interesting? I'll just tell a quick story. So I'm watching, all the infomercials late at night, and the guy's there, hey, I see somebody out there. The Lord is telling me, call now. So I called just to see, what they would possibly say. And obviously it's not the pastor that picks up the phone,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a call center.
Sure.
And one of the agents picked up the phone
Yes.
and said, hello, thank you for calling so Ministries. And then I just hung up because I just wanted to hear it, right? You know what happened?
They
Called you back.
As soon as I hung up, 1, 2, 3, the phone rang again. You were, and I heard, oh, hello, servant in Christ. You were almost there. Just hang on another 30 seconds and we'll connect you. So I said,
Automated.
yeah.
Wow.
Called me back. I mean, that's a phone system they got there.
Yeah.
I mean, goodness. So when this guy's on the screen and he's saying, order now your magical Isaiah bread. In the book of Ezekiel, you will see the secret recipes that they use for the wafer. It's incredible. And they have to set up a call center.
You're making me hungry. The way you said
I'm
that.
going to make you some Frederick bread. Some Frederick bread after. Or we're going to eat.
Elder Frederick.
Elder Frederick bread.
Oh, that sounds nice. I like that.
But why are people so easily suckered into these things? I mean, they have to have a call center to manage the influx of calls coming in. Like, why are people so easy? You know, when the prophets was talking to them and telling them to repent and walk in the ways of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they wanted to stone them, and actually they did stone them.
I honestly want to believe, Elder Troy, that would require some work and some effort. Nobody wants to work, and nobody wants to put in the effort, so you rather follow some dude that says, you know what, hey, buy the piece of this wafer and you're saved, you're as good as gold, as right as rain. So, hey, I'm taking it off my hands because that guy said so, so I'm going to follow him. Yeah. And if he says just eat the wafer, and you're good to go, then that's all I need to do. Why do I need to work and do all that hard work and labor and follow the God of Israel? Just, you know, if he says, this guy says it's good, then it's good to go.
Just like they said, you know, when we served the God of Israel, it was rough and tough. Yeah. It was difficult and hard.
Pain and suffering. Yeah.
But then when we offered our bread to the Queen of Heaven, woo! Good times. Let them roll. Yeah. Let them roll.
Because it always looks good in the beginning. Yeah. So when you're dealing with falsehood, it always looks good in the beginning, but then suddenly the bottom drops out.
Yeah. And then what?
And then what?
You got to go to Mary Bateman.
Yeah, the chicken egg.
1814 AD, spiritualist. Right? As soon as you hear that, you should know what the rest of the story is going to be like. Mm-hmm. All right? Spiritualist Joanna Southcott made the startling claim that she, by virgin birth, would produce the second Jesus Christ.
Nice.
The image that we have there, she looks to be in her late 50s to 60s. So
by virgin birth, she would produce.
Nobody else. No.
Oh.
She's talking about her.
Okay. But she doesn't look like a virgin to me.
No.
I'm pretty sure she wasn't a virgin.
Okay.
Come on.
I'm willing to bet that she was not.
She could be like a born again virgin. You know, you got that concept nowadays.
She wasn't even a born again virgin.
Oh, she's not even a born again.
No.
In 1814 AD, she at that age was a virgin. Really? like really?
You see, these people put together stories and people they get lost in the sauce. You know. Her abdomen began to swell.
Oh.
And so did the crowds.
Oh.
The time for the birth came and passed. She died soon after. An autopsy revealed it had been a false pregnancy.
Oh, sounds like she had maybe a growth or something.
That's unfortunate.
Cancer of the stomach or something.
But again, how do people qualify that? Like, okay, in all seriousness, how do people qualify that? Unless she has a husband or a boyfriend or somebody that's going to speak up to say you're not a virgin. I mean, how do people say, and especially back then, no, you're not? So anybody could say anything. And even if it wasn't a false birth, right, or a false pregnancy, even if somebody had, impregnated her, and then she came out and said, hey, here it is, how do you qualify that? You can't qualify that. When you look in the scriptures and you see how things work and unfold in the scriptures, it's completely different.
Yeah, you don't need to qualify. That virgin birth with Christ, Mary, you didn't need any qualification. No one knew what was happening. The story was given to us, and it was privately taking place.
After
It's
the
just
fact.
after the fact. Here's what took place, right? No one came out and said, "Behold me." No, there was probably even disbelief. Joseph was going to send her away because he said, "No, right? It wasn't me," so, and she's pregnant. It wasn't me, no.
So
Right?
what's going on?
But he had to be told different circumstances and the way that they do things. When you see things for show, that's an indicator right off the
Yep.
bat. That's an indicator there.
Yep.
Moses went to the Red Sea. He didn't say, let's go and watch me split the Red Sea. When they got there, they were going to kill Moses. You brought us here to die? They're coming after us now. Well, what? Now what? We'll swim, right? Then he opened up, then the eyes beheld and saw what was happening.
But even every time, say, Jesus would do something, tell no man. If Christ would do something, tell no man.
Tell no man.
Things happened in secret. Moses on the mount of the burning bush, just between him and the Spirit of God. Then he went, he did what he had to do. Even his birth going along the Nile, sorry, not his birth, as a baby, ending up in the care of Pharaoh's sister, that was nice and private, quietly done. You don't read in the scriptures where people go in there. Only Paul did it. I magnify my office. He was the only one that did it, but everybody else just took care of business.
Yeah.
They came in quietly, they left quietly. They don't walk crowds and the belly's swelling, the crowd is swelling, right? What is that? That's a gimmick. That's
what it's for.
That's not
It's for the crowd.
scriptures.
For the crowd,
It
it's
is.
for money, it's for fame. William Miller Gents, from his studies in 1843 of the Bible, he determined that the second coming would happen roughly sometime between 1843 and 1844. A spectacular meteor shower in 1833 gave the movement a good push. Obviously, right? Good timing, too.
Oh, yeah, that's
very
That's
nice.
a good push.
Beautiful.
Especially 1843.
Beautiful.
Right? They don't have NASA who's going to say, hey, get your cameras, your binoculars, telescopes, because you're going to see something pretty tonight. We've seen it coming for the last 10 years. This is like out of the blue. Christ is coming, and then
Perfect.
glory!
Perfect. It's happening.
Couldn't have happened.
It's
any-
happening. Yes. And he's like, hey, whoa. Hey, okay. Yeah, let's go with it.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's a good moment.
Yeah.
That movement grows
Beautiful.
nice and big, right?
Beautiful.
Now, the buildup of anticipation continued until March 21st, 1844, when Miller's one-year timetable ran out. Some followers set another date of October 22nd. Isn't it funny? We
Hey.
see this.
Hey, plagiarism.
There you go.
Hey,
There you go.
Quite
look at
similar,
that.
ain't it?
March and October. And this last one was around the same
It
time.
was October.
October 21st.
It was 21st, I
And it
believe.
was
Yeah.
Yeah, March, May, or something
March,
like that.
May, June. I can't remember. The first one was what.
Interesting. Huh.
It's almost as if there's some sort of reoccurring spirit that tells these dudes, oh, time to go. Hey, it's that time of the year again. Time to start making those doomsday predictions.
The spirit of error will guarantee you one thing: error.
Yeah. Hey, we haven't had a doomsday prediction in a while now. Yeah, let's round that up.
Yep.
Let's get that
Yeah.
back
Get
on
it out
the
there.
table.
Right? Doesn't matter when, 1,000 years ago, 200 years later, just come up with the same garbage and just
Yep.
rile the people up. Well, make sure you make your money. Make your money. Now, when Miller's one-year timetable ran out, some followers set another date of October 22nd, 1844. This too failed, collapsing the movement. Interesting enough now. So, obviously the movement stopped. It flopped. The prediction passed. 1940.
Wait. Can I ask you a question, please,
Yeah.
Kurt? Can I ask you a question? Okay. So, you make a prediction that the world is going to end, right? Doomsday.
Doomsday.
Okay. A bunch of people, just picture this now. A bunch of people show up. You have a following, and they show up for the world to end. When the world doesn't end, they're disappointed. The movement dissolves, and that's it. Everybody goes home. Let's suppose it came to pass. You know what I'm saying? Like at the end of the day, there's no win here.
Yeah.
Because if it fails, oh man, oh, this is a lie.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. Break up the movement. And if it comes through, the world is done.
The movement's over.
Like, does this not sound the movement is still over?
Yeah.
One way or another. This doesn't sound very sensible.
Because it's not. The spirit of error will guarantee you consistency with error.
Oh my goodness.
It will just, a lie will never blossom into the truth.
Never.
It will never turn itself into the truth.
Never.
Right? It is what it is, what it is. Well, 1914 AD, Charles Russell, after being exposed.
He looks like an honest guy. He's got an honest looking face.
No, it's honest. Yeah, honesty. Now, you got to get this now.
All right.
Charles Russell. So 1843. So this is 19. Okay. Charles Russell, after being exposed to the teachings of William Miller, and William Miller was the last gent.
Yes.
Right. Founded his own organization called the Jehovah's Witnesses. In 1914, Russell predicted the return of Jesus Christ. 1914 was one of the more important estimates, is very interesting, of the start of the War of Armageddon by Jehovah's Witnesses. Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. They computed 1914 from prophecy in the book of Daniel, chapter 4. Right? Everybody goes there and starts checking years and stuff like that. The writings refer to 7 times. Now, the WTS interpreted each time as equal to 360 days, giving a total of 2,520 days. This was further interpreted as representing 2,520 years, measured by, again, there's a nice formula, right? It's a great formula. Measured from the starting date of 607 BCE. Where did they get that date from to start? This gave 1914 as the target date. Right?
How convenient.
It has to be convenient.
It has to be. And
it works out real nice. Right? But it's interesting because the Jehovah's Witnesses, their founder, Mr. Charles Russell, was exposed to Mr. Miller's teachings. His brand, his template.
Oh yeah. So it's very easy to see that, he's onto something.
He's on, yeah.
There is some money to be made here.
There has to be. And the Watchtower. So your Watchtower's old.
Very.
To move that Watchtower, you got to have people who want to read it.
Yep.
It's got to be interesting. There's got to be something in there that people are going to want to pay their money and buy it and purchase it, right? Look at it. And he was onto something, and he got it, and he did his thing. Now, do you know how many times the Jehovah's Witnesses church, their movement, do you know how many times they've readjusted the end time date? It's about 8 or 10 different times.
Well, I figure they'll just keep on adjusting until it actually happens. Then they'll say, see? But I guess they can't say see because nobody will be around to say, hey, you were right. I don't, you know what I mean?
That way you'll be a prophet.
You're going to guarantee membership, that's for sure.
Right?
You're going to guarantee some membership.
Wow.
Matthew 24, I'm going to read from verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, and that should tell you who it is, who him is, saying, tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming, and of the end of the world? When shall be doomsday, right?
Yes.
And Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. There'll be eggs, there'll be births, there was one guy in, I believe it was Florida, a couple years ago, he said he was Jesus. Bold as can be. He didn't say he's a spirit or he has a spirit, or he said he is Jesus reincarnate. Right? I haven't heard anything of him in the last couple of years. I don't know what's going on, but he had a following and it was growing.
Wow.
And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, and in 1000 AD there was none of these things according to the time period, right?
Yeah.
See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. And interestingly, whenever we see any doomsday movies or the Aztec Mayan thing and all that, there's earthquakes are happening, and you get all these Facebook alerts when an earthquake happens in Malaysia, and then somebody says, see, it's the work of the Lord at the end of time, right? There'll be rumors of wars and different things, and don't be troubled, guys, because these things got to come to pass, and still it's not the end. 7, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places, and these are the beginning of sorrows. And all these and then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And these are the things that we can appreciate, right?
Yes.
You know, the hatred for what we do, the hatred in what we believe, you know, it really doesn't mean it means nothing to us, right? And we look in these words of promise and these things to come, and we align ourselves, right? We are the children of Israel. We are the descendants of the prophets. We are the descendants of the 12 tribes. These things shall befall us. So we wait. We await. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. And then shall the end come. Interesting,
That's
eh?
very interesting. There's a couple of very interesting scriptures in there. Verse 13, but he that shall endure until the end, the same shall be saved. So I guess when you're putting your hand on the TV screen,
Close your eyes.
and you're making that prayer,
Amen.
and he's saving you at that
Saved.
point in time, again, you've got some falseness going on, because you have to wait until the end, until somebody decides whether or not you're going to be saved. So
Yes.
you can't be saved by putting your hand on the TV screen.
No.
And then the gospel has to be preached throughout all the kingdom of the earth. I mean, hey,
There is an hour discussion.
Yeah.
Those two pieces.
yeah, but for time's sake,
Time's sake. So Matthew 24, when you got some time at home, go back and go through it.
That's
See what
key.
you come up with. Now 15, when ye therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place, whoso readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee. So let me jump back down. All right, 19. And woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. Another interesting point, but let's continue. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. Now, for the interest of time, I'm just going to low down. 23. And if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. If any man, if there is a man on earth that utters these things with their lips, do not believe him. If he does magic acts, if they lay eggs, it doesn't matter. If it comes from the lips of man, believe it not.
Exactly.
And you will have the prudence that if you are somebody within that spiritual realm that gets these type of messages, that Christ is coming. You're not going to have a bell in your hand on the street corner going
No,
like
you're
this.
not.
You will not. You will not do that.
Yep.
The man that does that, as it says,
Believe him not.
believe him not.
Yes.
For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, and so much that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect.
Yes.
Behold,
This is not no David Copperfield. This is big time stuff. That if it were possible, they shall deceive the very
Very elect.
elect. So they got to be really good.
very, very good.
They're gonna. We haven't seen anything yet.
Meaning, if you're not the elect, you would be fooled.
Exactly.
You would be
And
fooled.
Easily.
we haven't seen anything yet. So meaning that you've got some more characters that are coming.
Oh,
They're
jeez.
coming down the tubes just now, down the pipeline, man, and you're gonna see signs and
Oh, man,
wonders.
some crafty guys are
Gearing up.
Woo! They're coming in.
They're
So we
gearing
gotta
up.
wait. They're coming up. These guys are some real cats are coming. Technology guys. There's some stuff is stuff's coming down.
Oh yeah.
Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as the lightning,
Hey,
the lightning.
Didn't we read earlier about the people going to Jerusalem?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Remember?
yeah.
And look what it's saying here.
Read, if you read,
Yeah.
right?
Complete contradiction.
For as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. You would not know. You can't know.
Yeah.
The lightning flash and you look. When it flashes, you look and you may miss it.
Gone.
It's gone. You don't know
Quick.
where's it coming next. Which way is it coming? You might get hit. Boom. Who knows, right?
Next, where it's coming next, right in top of your head.
For whithersoever the carcass is, there will be the eagles be gathered together. 34, verse 34 says, Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. But of that day and hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven.
Wow.
There you go. Not even the angels of heaven.
So are you telling me that a chicken knows, but not even the angel of heaven knows?
Miller and those guys know.
Wow.
All these people knew exactly when the time was.
So much to read. Read Matthew 24. There's so much to read in this.
Yeah.
You're good with that. You don't.
We can stop there, right?
You
We don't
stop
need to-
there. You don't need to go any
Let's
further.
kill it there. But no man,
No man
No
knoweth
man
the hour.
knows.
Not even the angels
Yeah.
know
Wow.
when that day will be.
they who behold his face, those angels that stand in the presence, that are there in the holy mountains, those ancient angels that know things, secrets,
Yes.
and perhaps other prophecies and times of when they are going to unfold.
And been there from the very beginning.
Yeah.
They don't know.
They have no idea.
So when you see that